I'm James Lynch, and this is my stock report for UFC Qatar, taking a look at the biggest winners and losers from the event. And the biggest stock riser on this card, it gave it away on the thumbnail. Don't think this is any huge surprise. The biggest stock riser on this card is Arman Tsarukyan, second round submission over Dan Hooker. He gets it done. Dominant performance. Looked like a minus 800 favorite here. And I know some people will be like, oh, we were sort of expecting this. All Arman had to do was show up, make weight, get the win. And now he's positioned himself, in my opinion, for a title shot. Let's stop doing this whole, should it be someone else? There's been talk about Paddy Pimblett or Justin Gaethje. Everyone wants to see Arman versus Ilia Topuria. I know Arman, after the fight, was talking about how he doesn't think Topuria will fight him. And, maybe he should move aside. We'll see what's going to happen with all that. But listen, Arman went out and did what he was supposed to do. He got the win. He's been out for a long time. I mean, Hooker had a long layoff too coming into this one. But to get a finish here is what you needed. If Arman would have gone out there and got a decision and, maybe just edged this one out, it would feel a little bit differently here. But he went out there and took care of business. And it's the first finish for Arman, I think, since Beneil Dariush. First submission win anyways in a while as far as MMA goes. I know he got a couple submission wins in grappling. But when was his last submission win in the UFC? I don't think has he not had one? I guess not. That's crazy. So yeah, nice statement win here for Arman Tsarukyan. Let's hope him and Ilia are next. Let's not, mess around with this Paddy Pimblett Gaethje stuff. That's the fight to make. Biggest stock riser here is Arman Tsarukyan because that's one of the biggest fights in the UFC right now. That alone puts him as the biggest stock riser, getting the opportunity potentially fighting Ilia Topuria next. Okay, second biggest stock riser on this card. Some people may go, a different way with this one, but hear me out. Second biggest stock riser on this card for me is Kyoji Horiguchi. So there's a number of reasons why I put Horiguchi in this spot. First and foremost, he was a plus 190 underdog, wasn't supposed to win, goes out there, gets it done. I did. This was one of the dog picks I actually got right on this weekend's preview show, so I was happy about that. But he calls out his teammate and guy that he's cornered, Alexander Pantoja. He's down to fight. He wants to get that title shot. And at flyweight, we've seen you don't need a lot of wins to get a title shot. Look at Steve Erceg, a couple fights back. You had Kaya Sakura come over and get the title shot right, coming over from Risen. Kyoji Horiguchi, even before he left the UFC, had fought for a title previously. He was always in the mix. So I think there is a possibility of him getting the winner of Joshua Van and Alexander Pantoja next. So, that's another reason why, yes, this fight was not, the co-main event or anything like that. But the fact of the matter is that Horiguchi now could potentially get a title shot off this. So I don't have a problem with him fighting for the title next. He's 35 years old. Be cool to see him fight his teammate. He gets a finish in this fight too. That's another bonus. Horiguchi, second biggest stock riser on this card. Huge win for him on UFC Qatar. Third biggest stock riser on this card is going to be Waldo Cortes-Acosta. You could have even put him as your second. Really nice victory here. Taking this on short notice. I know he was favored to win this fight, but he's been on quite the roll. And has kind of, slowly amassed this pretty impressive win streak. I know he lost to Pavlovich a couple fights back, but outside that, he's looked very good in the UFC. And with how wide open heavyweight is right now, this is the type of win that could get him a big fight. A lot of people want to see him and Derek Lewis next. I'm down with that. I think Waldo has been one of the surprising fighters in this weight class. And he's fought a bunch of times this year, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, look at this. He's fought 1, 2, 3, 4. That's his fifth fight this year. So big win there for Costa, getting it done in the first round, especially on short notice. He's got to be a stock riser on this card. Again, with how wide open heavyweight is right now. I know we got the rematch with Gane and Aspinall, but after that, I put Waldo in that same category of guys that are kind of chomping at the bit to get that title shot. So there we go. A couple honorable mentions. Ian Machado Gary. Some people could put him as the second or third biggest stock riser on this card. I get it. Not that great of a fight. He ends up winning a decision here. If Gary had gone out and finished Belal Muhammad, maybe we have a different conversation here. Not to say that it's easy to finish Belal Muhammad. He's only got, I think, the one stoppage loss to Vicente Luque about 10 years ago or something like that. So no shame in that. I just didn't think this was the type of performance that, people are dying to see him get, the next title shot type thing. In fact, I think, from what I'm seeing on my timeline and other people, a lot of people want to see Michael Morales get that shot next to Islam. But credit to Gary, he gets it done. He's still in the mix for the title at this point with this victory, and he took out a former champion. Very good win there for Ian Gary, in my opinion. He gets it done by decision. A couple other quick ones I want to mention here. Asu getting the win over Alex Perez. Again, it's flyweight, so it seems like it's a wide open division. I know he was favored to beat Perez, but to go out there and finish him, very good in that one. I think, when was the last time Perez was finished? It's a couple fights back, if I'm not mistaken, right? because he had the knee injury against Tyra, and then you have to go all the way back to the Pantoja fight in 2022. So good win there for Asu. He gets an honorable mention. How about Luke Riley? Really good debut here, coming over from Cage Warriors. Tough first round, comes back and gets a finish in the second round. He got the performance of the night bonus. He's a guy that we'll be keeping an eye on. His stock certainly went up with that type of performance. Okay, let's get to our stock droppers on this card. Biggest stock dropper for me, and I'll explain why in a second here, is Belal Muhammad. Now, I don't think Belal fought a terrible fight. Again, he wasn't supposed to win here. Plus 240 underdog. It's the optics of it. Former champion. He's now lost 2 fights in a row. He's 37 years old. I mean, I think it's safe to say at this point, it's probably not going to be another title shot for Belal Muhammad anytime soon. And had he won this fight, who knows if it would have been. There was always that talk of, would he fight Islam? Obviously, they're both Muslim. Do they want to fight each other? I just think Belal's in a tough spot now. Like, where does he go here after losing this fight? There's still certainly some fights to make for him, and maybe he does turn it around. I don't know. I just think with his age and the fact that it's so crowded at the top at 170, I just don't know where Belal goes from here. I still want to see him and Kamaru Usman fight, but who knows what's happening next? It could end up just being Usman and Islam next, but we'll find out here soon, I'm sure. But yeah, tough loss there from Belal Muhammad. Back-to-back losses at 37. That's a tough pill to swallow there. So Belal Muhammad, biggest stock dropper on this card, just because of the optics. Like, again, I think it'll be tough for him to get a title shot now. Now, another name you could go with too in the same spot is Dan Hooker. He's another stock dropper for me. And, similar situation, 35 years old. The reason I put Belal ahead of him, Belal's a former champion. With Dan Hooker, it's like, again, he didn't have as much stock going into this. Most people were not picking Dan Hooker in the spot. And he came off a 3-fight win streak. Very impressive turnaround for him. Remember when he lost to Arnold Allen, everyone's like, Hooker's done. He's going to go to PFL. He's going to go to Bellator at the time. You can't do anything, but he racked off 3 straight wins. I know 2 of these are split decisions, but the Gamrot win, very impressive. Yeah, Dan Hooker's stock goes down. Like, where does he go from here? How much longer is Hooker going to be fighting at 35? And you look at the amount of damage he's taken in his career. The big thing for me, too, with this fight is it wasn't really competitive. Arman just dominated this fight from bell to bell. Hooker looked like he belonged in didn't belong in that sort of category of fighter. So Dan Hooker, stock dropper for sure. And then another big stock dropper on this card is one of the guys that was favored on this card to win, and that's Tagir Ulanbekov. Had a nice win streak going into this one, 34 years old. Again, an older fighter here. 4-fight win streak going into this one, and he gets submitted like this. That's a tough pill to swallow. First stoppage loss in his career, and this was an opportunity. Had he won this fight, he could have been in the mix at the top of the heap at flyweight. But I think with Horiguchi winning, Ulanbekov back to the drawing board, and again, it's not like his age is doing him any favors at 34. So Ulanbekov, another big stock dropper on this card. And I'll give an honorable mention to this guy. He wasn't supposed to win, but Jack Hermansson, what a fall from grace. I remember at one point Jack Hermansson was like where am I looking for it? It was the Urabai fight. It's Jack Hermansson at one point was like, it looked like he was like gonna get close to a title shot at 185, and age has caught up to him, injuries. He's 37 now, and the big thing here is we're now seeing back-to-back stoppage losses for him here. I think he'll get one more fight. He has been finished though now in 3 of his last 4 fights. That's a bit concerning. He looked good on the scale at welterweight, but I don't know really what his future is. I always think it's a bad idea when fighters are dropping down a weight class as they're older. We'll see what's next for him there, but yeah, just the fact that he didn't even make it out of the first round. And listen, Orabai's an absolute killer. I picked him to win this fight. 27 years old, a lot to like about him. But he's also not like much of a knockout guy. In fact, that was his first knockout win in the UFC. Typically he wins by submission. So that's that was a bit disappointing there for Jack. So another stock dropper on this card is Jack Hermansson. So let me know in the comments your top 3 stock risers, your top 3 stock droppers. Tell me your reasoning for each one. That would be awesome. Then we can have a discussion about this. Again, this is all arbitrary. There's no like set rules on what makes a stock go up or stock down. I just gave you my reasons here. Hopefully you guys can understand them. And just a reminder, no stock report next week because there's no UFC card. So I hope you guys have a great week. I will see you guys tomorrow, Monday. We'll be doing a Q&A on Monday instead of doing the usual preview show. Maybe we'll talk some year-end stuff as we're kind of creeping up to that as well. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.